The splash wasn't loud. That was the strangest part. At a pool surrounded by laughter, music, and the careless joy of summer, the sound of a small body hitting the water should have disappeared instantly. And yet, something about it cut through the noise like a crack in glass. The boy didn't scream. He didn't flail. He didn't call for help. He just sank, eyes wide open, arms stiff at his sides, as if his body had forgotten what it was supposed to do next. For a moment, people laughed. Someone said, "Kids will be kids." Phones tilted slightly, cameras catching what they thought was harmless chaos. On the edge of the pool, standing barefoot on hot stone, a black girl froze. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't filming. She was watching his hands. They were clenched tight, not in panic, but in shutdown. Her chest tightened. She had seen that before. Not in pools. Not at parties like this. But in people who were overwhelmed and about to disappear in plain sight. "Hey," she said. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just one word. But something in her voice made the air shift. Adults turned. A lifeguard hesitated. And for the first time since he fell, the boy looked at someone. Really looked. As if he recognized safety. No one there understood it yet. But in less than a minute, everything about that perfect afternoon, the power, the privilege, the silence, was about to collapse. The father, Elliot Grant, built his life on control. Control of markets, control of outcomes, control of risk. He was a billionaire before 40. A man whose name moved stock prices with a sentence and silenced boardrooms. With a glance. People called him visionary, ruthless, brilliant, but no one ever called him soft, especially not as a father. Elliot loved his son, deeply, unquestionably, but love to him was protection, structure, distance from pain. He hired the best therapists, the best tutors, the best security. He thought love meant removing obstacles. He didn't yet understand that some obstacles needed to be faced, gently. That afternoon, Elliot stood near the pool talking to investors, his jacket draped over a chair, sunglasses hiding eyes that rarely rested. He trusted the environment. Private school families, private club, private security. Nothing bad happened in places like this. That belief would haunt him. The son, Noah Grant, was 9 years old. He loved patterns, the way tiles repeated at the bottom of the pool, the rhythm of water lapping against the edge, the count of his breaths, always even numbers. Noise overwhelmed him. Unexpected touch terrified him. But water was complicated. Sometimes it calmed him. Sometimes it trapped him. That day, Noah had already reached his limit. Too many voices. Too much sun. Too many eyes. He stood at the pool's edge. Because the tiles helped him. Focus. Blue, white, blue, white. He didn't hear the footsteps behind him. He didn't understand the laughter that wasn't kind. When the push came, his brain didn't register danger. Only change. And change, to Noah, felt like falling forever. The girl. Her name was Aliyah. She wasn't supposed to be there. Not really. Her mother worked catering events at the club on weekends. And when childcare fell through, Aliyah came along, told to stay quiet, stay small, stay out of the way. She was used to edges. Edges of rooms. Edges of conversations. Edges of belonging. She noticed things other people missed because she had learned to. People assumed quiet meant weak. They were wrong. Aliyah had a younger cousin on the spectrum. She had learned early that silence didn't mean peace, and stillness didn't mean safety. When she saw Noah in the water, she didn't see a boy playing. She saw someone locked inside his own body, and she knew, instinctively, that if she waited for permission, it would be too late. The sun glinted off the water. The crowd buzzed. And in the space between laughter and danger, one child prepared to do something no adult around her had the courage to do. This was only the beginning. The water closed over Noah's head without drama. No thrashing, no splashing arms, no instinctive fight. Just silence. His body sank straight down, forcing the air from his lungs in a soft trail of bubbles that looked almost peaceful, like he was choosing to go somewhere else. People on the deck kept talking. Someone laughed too loudly. A woman adjusted her sunglasses. To them, this was still a pool party. But Aliyah felt her heartbeat slam into her throat. "No," she whispered. She saw it clearly now. The stiffness in his arms, the way his eyes stayed open but unfocused, the way his legs didn't kick. This wasn't fear. This was overload. Shut down. She stepped closer to the edge, ignoring the heat of the stone burning her feet. "Hey," she said again, louder now. A lifeguard glanced over, annoyed more than concerned. "He's fine," someone said. "Kids mess around." But Aaliyah shook her head. "He's not playing," she said, her voice breaking just slightly. "He can't move." That was when Noah's head dipped fully under. Time does strange things when danger goes unnoticed. To Elliot Grant, those seconds passed like normal life. Another laugh, another half-listened sentence about markets and expansion. To Aaliyah, time fractured. She didn't think about rules. She didn't think about consequences. She thought about her cousin. The way his body froze when overwhelmed. The way adults always said he's okay right before he wasn't. Aaliyah kicked off her sandals and jumped. No hesitation. No announcement. Just action. The water was colder than she expected. It shocked the breath from her chest as she dove straight down, eyes open, arms slicing through the blue and white pattern. Noah had been counting just moments earlier. She reached him in seconds. He was heavier than he looked, completely limp. When she grabbed his arm, his body didn't respond, but his eyes flicked toward her just once. Recognition, relief. "I've got you," she whispered underwater, even though she knew he couldn't hear her. She wrapped one arm around his chest and kicked, hard. The moment, everything changed. "Hey!" The shout ripped through the air above them. People finally noticed. Water exploded as the lifeguard dove in. Security rushed forward. Phones snapped upward, not to help, but to capture. By the time Noah broke the surface, he coughed violently, water pouring from his mouth as his body finally remembered how to fight. Aaliyah held him until the lifeguard took over, her arms shaking from the effort. She climbed out of the pool and immediately felt hands. Grab her shoulders, not gently. "What were you thinking?" A security man snapped. "You're not allowed." "He was drowning," she said, breathless, water streaming down her braids. The man froze. Around them, whispers erupted. "That kid, isn't that Grant's son? Isn't he autistic? Who pushed him?" Someone replayed a video already spreading across screens. The push, the fall, the stillness. And then, a black girl diving in without waiting for permission. The father sees. Elliot turned when he heard his son's name. By the time he reached the pool, Noah was wrapped in a towel, coughing weakly, eyes glassy but alive. Alive. Elliot dropped to his knees in his expensive slacks, gripping Noah's shoulders too tightly. "I'm here," he said, his voice cracking. "I've got you." Noah didn't speak. He just reached out, past his father, and clutched Aaliyah's sleeve. She froze. Elliot followed his son's gaze. For the first time that day, he really looked at her. Wet clothes, bare feet, hands shaking. Not staff, not a guest. Just a child. That girl, Elliot said slowly. "She saved him?" No one answered. They didn't need to. The truth was already spreading faster than anyone could stop it. And in the middle of the noise, the accusations, the sudden attention, Aaliyah stood there dripping pool water onto marble stone, not knowing that her life had just split cleanly into before and after. The pool was quiet now. Not calm, just stunned. Water rippled gently against the tiled edge, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But the people standing around it had changed. Their voices dropped. Their faces tightened. No one laughed anymore. Aaliyah wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly aware of how cold she was. A staff member thrust a towel into her hands without meeting her eyes. Another spoke into a radio in sharp whispers. Security hovered too close, unsure whether they were supposed to protect her or remove her. Phones were everywhere, not pointed at Noah, pointed at her. "Did you see how fast she jumped in? Who is she? Was she even allowed near the pool?" Aaliyah's stomach twisted. She had saved a life. And yet the looks she received weren't gratitude. They were suspicion, calculation, the kind of looks that quietly ask, "What's the problem going to be now?" The lifeguard cleared his throat. He wasn't responding, he said, addressing no one in particular. She was right to act. No one argued, but no one defended her either. By the time the ambulance arrived, more precaution than necessity. The first clips were already online, short, cropped, contextless. A shove, a splash, a black girl jumping in. Headlines formed faster than truth ever could. Chaos at Billionaire's estate pool party. Unauthorized girl jumps into pool during emergency. Questions raised after incident involving Grant Air. Aaliyah didn't see any of it yet. She sat on the edge of a stone bench, legs dangling, towel clenched in her fists, listening to adults speak over her head as if she weren't there. She shouldn't have been near the pool. Where were her parents? This could have been handled by staff. Each sentence landed like a small accusation. Elliot overheard them, and for the first time in years, something inside him recoiled. Elliot sat beside Noah in the quiet of the pool house, paramedics packing up their equipment. Noah stared at the floor, not shaking, not crying, just gone somewhere inside himself. Elliot recognized that stillness too late. I should have, he began, then stopped. Noah flinched at the sound of raised voices outside. Elliot lowered his tone. I'm sorry, he said instead. Noah didn't respond. But when Alia passed the doorway on her way out, escorted now by a tight-lipped security guard, Noah's head snapped up. Her, he whispered. It was barely a sound, but Elliot heard it. He stood abruptly. Wait. The security guard paused. Elliot stepped toward Alia. Up close, she looked younger than he'd thought. Her bravado at the pool was gone, replaced by something fragile and exhausted. You saved my son, Elliot said. Alia swallowed. He needed help. That was it. No pride, no performance, no expectation of reward, just a statement of fact. Elliot nodded slowly, as if trying to learn a language he'd never needed before. Thank you, he said. Alia gave a small, uncertain nod, then followed the guard away. She didn't see Elliot watching her leave, or the way his jaw tightened when someone muttered, that could have been handled better. That night, Alia lay awake in the small apartment she shared with her grandmother. Her clothes were still damp in the sink. Her phone buzzed endlessly. Someone had sent her the video. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Some praised her. Many didn't. She should have waited for help. Why was she even there? Bet she's looking for money now. Alia turned the phone face down. Her grandmother sat beside her, quiet for a long time. You did the right thing, she said finally. Alia nodded, but her eyes burned. I didn't think, she whispered. I just moved. Her grandmother took her hand. Sometimes that's what courage looks like. Outside, the city hummed on, unaware that a single choice made by a young girl had begun to crack open, truths far bigger than a poolside accident. And somewhere across town, a billionaire sat alone in his study, replaying the footage over and over, not of the fall, but of the moment before it, when no one else moved. Elliot Grant had built his empire on data. Numbers didn't lie. Markets didn't hesitate. Decisions rewarded speed. But that night, sitting alone in his study, none of that mattered. He watched the footage again. Not the edited clips online, the full security recording from the poolside cameras. No music, no commentary, just raw sound and silence. He watched the moment his son was shoved, watched Noah's body hit the water wrong, not flailing, not calling for help, just sinking. Watched the adults freeze, and then he watched her. Alia didn't hesitate. She didn't look for permission, didn't check who was watching, didn't care whose pool it was. She moved. Elliot paused the video right there. His hand trembled, because in that single moment, he saw something he hadn't seen in years. Truth. The next morning, Elliot canceled every meeting. His assistant tried to protest. Investors were calling. PR teams were already drafting statements. Not today, Elliot said. Instead, he summoned the head of security, the event coordinator, and the lifeguard. He played the footage for all of them, frame by frame. Why didn't anyone step in? Elliot asked calmly. No one answered at first. Finally, the coordinator spoke. There were instructions. Elliot turned slowly. What instructions? A VIP-heavy event, she said carefully. Minimal disruption. Liability protocols. Elliot's chest tightened. So my son's safety was conditional? The room went silent. The lifeguard cleared his throat. By the time I moved, she was already in the water. Elliot nodded. Then she saved him, he said. While everyone else followed rules. Noah's voice. Later that day, Elliot sat with Noah in the sunroom. The light was soft. Quiet. The kind Noah preferred. Noah lined up small stones on the windowsill, hands moving rhythmically. Elliot waited. You remember what happened? He asked gently. Noah nodded once. Can you tell me about her? Noah hesitated. Then softly, she looked at me. Elliot leaned forward. Everyone else looked past. Noah continued. She saw me. Elliot closed his eyes. How did you feel? he asked. Noah took a long breath. Safe. One word, but it shattered something inside Elliot. Because all the money, all the walls, all the protection he'd built, none of it had made his son feel safe. A stranger had. Elliot ordered a full report. Not just on the incident, on Aliyah. Not to dig for flaws, to understand. What came back stripped away the last excuse. Aliyah Johnson, 16, public school student, honor roll, part-time grocery job, caregiver to her grandmother. No history of trouble, no connections, no agenda. She hadn't even known who Noah was. She just saw a boy in danger. Elliot stared at the file for a long time. Then he did something no one expected. He fired the PR firm. Instead of a polished statement, Elliot requested a press conference. No script, no filters. Cameras lined the driveway of his estate. Reporters buzzed with speculation. Elliot stepped up alone. "My son is autistic," he said plainly. The crowd stilled. He was pushed into a pool full of adults who froze. Murmurs. He didn't cry out, Elliot continued, because he couldn't. Silence now. He was saved by a young girl who had no obligation to help him, and every reason to hesitate. Cameras clicked furiously. "She didn't," Elliot said. "She acted." He paused. "The narrative online has been wrong, and it ends now." Aliyah sat on her grandmother's couch, watching the broadcast with shaking hands. She hadn't expected this, hadn't wanted attention. Her grandmother squeezed her shoulder. "That man is telling the truth," she said quietly. On the screen, Elliot looked straight into the camera. "My family owes her our gratitude," he said, "and our respect." Aliyah felt something unfamiliar loosen in her chest. Not relief, recognition. The internet changed its mind overnight. What had once been cruel speculation turned into something sharper, questions. Why were the adults standing so far back? Why did security hesitate? Why did a teenage girl have to act? Clips were replayed side by side. One showed Noah sinking. Another showed Aliyah moving. And between them, a gap filled with silence. By noon, the families of the boys who had pushed Noah were identified. Their parents issued statements quickly. It was horseplay. No harm was intended. Kids will be kids. Elliot Grant read each one slowly. Then he asked for the unedited footage to be released. All of it, including the audio, including the laughter, including the moment when one voice said, "He won't do anything." That line hit harder than the shove. The country reacted. Advocacy groups spoke out. Autism foundations demanded accountability. Parents shared stories of children who couldn't shout for help. And the adults who didn't listen. Sponsors quietly pulled out of partnerships tied to the families involved. Schools launched investigations. And for the first time, Elliot didn't intervene. Not to protect reputations, not to soften consequences, forcing the system to look at itself. Aliyah was called into the school office 2 days later. Her hands trembled as she sat across from administrators. "We want to hear your account," the principal said gently. Aliyah told them everything, not with anger, with clarity. "I didn't think," she said. "I just moved." That answer stayed with them longer than anything else. That evening, Elliot stood alone by the empty pool. The water was still, too still. He thought about the rules he'd built his life on. Efficiency, distance, control. None of them had saved his son. Aliyah had. The next morning, Elliot announced the formation of a foundation. Not in his name, but Noah's. "I can't lead a system that failed my child," he said. "Not without changing it from the ground up." People were stunned. Power was rarely surrendered. That night, Noah handed his father a folded piece of paper. A drawing, stick figures by a pool, one small figure in the water. When reaching in, Elliot swallowed. "That's her," Noah said quietly. "Yes," Elliot replied. "It is." The pool was reopened weeks later. Not with music, not with cameras, not with speeches, just sunlight. Elliot Grant stood at the edge, hands in his pockets, watching Noah sit on a towel beside Aliyah. They weren't talking much. They didn't need to. Noah traced patterns in the concrete with his finger. Aliyah mirrored him without asking, letting the rhythm guide her. Elliot noticed something then. For the first time, his son wasn't tense near water. He was calm, safe. Later, Elliot approached Aliyah and her grandmother under the shade of a wide oak tree. He didn't bring lawyers. Didn't bring assistants, just himself. "I've thanked you publicly," Elliot said. "But I never thanked you as a father." Aliyah nodded, unsure what to say. "You didn't just save my son," he continued. "You saw him." Her grandmother spoke softly. "That's what she does." Elliot smiled, a real one this time. He handed Aaliyah an envelope. Inside wasn't money, it was an offer. A full scholarship, education, support, no conditions. Aaliyah's hands shook. "Why?" she asked. Elliot answered without hesitation. "Because the world needs people who move when others freeze." As summer passed, Noah began attending swim sessions designed for sensory safety. Slow, patient, respectful. Aaliyah volunteered sometimes, not as a hero, just as a familiar presence. One afternoon, Noah stepped into the water on his own. Not far, just enough. He looked up at Aaliyah. She nodded once. That was all he needed. Months later, a photo circulated quietly online. No headlines, no outrage. Just two kids at the edge of a pool, feet in the water, laughing softly. Someone captioned it. "Courage doesn't always roar." Elliot saved the photo. Not for the world, for himself. Some heroes are loud, but the ones who change lives the most are often the ones who act before anyone is watching. Because when it mattered, a girl chose compassion over fear, and a boy learned what safety feels like. And the world, just for a moment, became a little better, focused on safety training, autism awareness, and intervention education. And then came the hardest part. He resigned from the board overseeing the community's private facilities.